Okay, so this week's assignment is on CSS Grid and also on CSS FlexBox. And the basic challenge that I have for you this week is to create a responsive web page with CSS FlexBox all by itself that does not use media queries but is still responsive, and also do the same thing with CSS Grid. So without using media queries, make it responsive, meaning when you make the web page bigger or smaller, it adjusts accordingly. So I'll basically show you what I mean by that. But I just want to git clone the repository for this, and now I'm going to cd into it and so this is the repository that I've made for this, and I just want to first show you an example. There aren't really on YouTube. There aren't really many examples for Flexbox responsiveness without media queries. So I'm gonna show you one that I made, and basically this is, if you look at this Flexbox example HTML, and then this right there, it shows you how you can make this responsive. You can make it responsive with Flexbox. So this I'm hoping that you can sort of analyze, look through and analyze these two files to understand Flexbox, and then you have two a CSS and HTML, which you need to manipulate the Flexbox starter so that it will be responsive. Because right now, if I show you this one, the starter code for this file, let me just go live. You can tell that if I make this bigger or smaller, it's not responsive, meaning the right side cuts off. Okay, so you want this to, you really would like it to go from 6 to maybe 4, but you know, even if one cuts off, you want it to be centered as well. This just cuts everything off. You can notice there's on the bottom there's some there that get cut off. These get smaller as well, but then they get cut off also. So there's all kinds of problems in terms of responsiveness of this one. You don't want to have that. Okay, so that's the file is essentially the same for this one and this one, except you'll be manipulating these two files using Flexbox, and you'll be manipulating these two files by using CSS Grid. Now, I don't have an example for CSS Grid, but if you go to YouTube, you're going to see that if I type in CSS Grid without media queries, responsive CSS Grid with no media queries, so there are plenty of without media queries with CSS Grid that you can take a look at, which I'm sure some of them, you know, will be helpful. So that's the basic goal here. Let me just see if I can come back to this. I would like you to, for the Flexbox one, put in here maybe like a rolling explanation for what you did in your code, you know, to make it work for Flexbox. Like just describe what it was, and then obviously the, you know, for this one, for the grid, you say how what you did, you know, as well for that one also. So so that's basically it. So you're going to be sending back to me, you know, a set of Flexbox starter files. I mean, and then the grid starter. You can basically just clone this, save it, and then send me the repo when you're done. But this should be responsive, and it should be responsive based on Grid, CSS Grid, and this one should be responsive based on Flexbox. So that's it.